Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So, I just recently watched the new episode of Euphoria, and I've been seeing a lot of people on TikTok kind of just do some commentary and talk about their thoughts, and don't know how interested people will be in this, but I am. So, first of all, I got this really cute ass notebook from Barnes and Noble. So cute. Look at the little tabs. Oh my god. So I took myself some notes. And we're just gonna go through some of the thoughts that I had about it, and just I feel like this show just takes you on a wild ride, and sometimes like you just need to vent about this show, So I did my makeup inspired by the show. Everyone wears lots of glitter, so I thought that would be a good addition. So let's just go ahead and talk about Euphoria. Euphoria episode 7. Episode 7, season 2. Okay. So some of my thoughts from the beginning. So let's just talk about, it was, I'll be honest, the introduction part of the show, when it shows her trying to open the Jolly Rancher, and she is going through such bad withdrawals that she can't even open the candy wrapper. Like, that was truly, like, that was rough. And then not only that, but like just the whole gruesome experience of seeing her go through with the really bad withdrawal period. It was rough. I don't even know if on TV I've ever really seen that realistic of a portrayal of withdrawals. Also, like, she was sitting there, there was just like snot coming out her nose. Like, they really did not hold back, which they hold nothing back in this show. Literally nothing, so I guess I shouldn't be very surprised. But still, it's pretty fascinating. Another part that I really liked about the introduction is it does show kind of like with time she gets so much better, like she really improves, and it goes from the beginning where she couldn't even open the wrapper to her completely opening the Jolly Rancher and putting it in her mouth, and her finally making a call to Ali. And that's what I was hoping would happen in this episode. It was really sad how they left off. It just was. I hated it so much. So I really like Ali as a character, and he is so good for her and such a good support system for Ruse. I was really disappointed by what she had done in the previous episode. So we're really happy that she resolved that. I thought she took accountability and really handled that apology well, and I think it gave her a sense of hope that she deserves to be forgiven. I don't know, throughout the entire show, Rue is very self-deprecating and doesn't seem like she thinks she deserves, to survive, or she deserves to live, or deserves to be here, deserves to be forgiven, deserves human love, and it was just really great to see her expression, like when she felt like someone understood and forgave her, and yeah, Ali, he's just a king, okay, period. Gia, let's just talk about Gia right quick, okay. I was so happy, as were many other people that I heard talking about it. We're so happy to see someone acknowledge Gia. Gia's always been there, but acknowledge, that that addiction is not just hard on the person who's addicted themselves. It's hard on everyone, including family and siblings, and I love how Ali, didn't invalidate her in any capacity. If anything, he kind of expected that it wouldn't be so easy for her just to believe, that her sister would be okay. or that she would get clean, or that she wouldn't go to rehab and relapse again, you know, and that it was okay for her to be hurt and upset and angry about the situation. You can tell that he understands addiction, and he understands it from multiple perspectives, and you could really see that in Ali's character. And I just love that someone actually paid her attention, because she's been so much more of just like a character that's just been strung along in the entire thing. And I do like that they're actually giving her time and space now, you know, to actually talk about how this affects her too. And I think it's an important conversation to be having, you know, about addiction, and how it's not just a one person being affected, it's multiple people. So I really like that a lot about this episode, and I was really happy, as were lots of people I saw on TikTok and stuff talking about it. We're really happy to see her finally be recognized and be validated in whatever feelings she may or may not have. She never really exactly said, but I don't think she even really had to. I think it's honestly pretty understandable, regardless of how she may or may not have felt, and I just really like that you know, that he talked about that. I even look at this name. I just literally wrote in big letters, Nate. First of all, what in the freaking hell is wrong with that boy? What is wrong? Okay. All of the characters of this show are complex, which is why I like it. I get so sick and tired of television that has the most basic ass, predictable characters. So, like, that's what makes me like the show, you know? Like, it does. But also, at the same time, y'all, like, Nate is one of those characters I just cannot figure out. Like, I think I have it figured out, and then he does something. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's done that, like, from the beginning. And he is very complex. Like, for him to be a, like, stereotypically fit, good-looking, I guess, white man, like, my God, you talk about some complexities. Goodness gracious. He literally, okay, this whole thing with Maddie and him and Kat, I'm puzzled by it all. I'm completely puzzled. Personally, I know everybody's like mad at Cassie right now, and I'm getting to her, don't worry. But personally, I think Cassie reacted out of lots of trauma from the abortion from the previous episodes. I noticed pretty much as soon as, like, right when she was sad about getting the abortion, she started sleeping with Nate. So I think, not that gives her a pass, obviously, for betraying her best friend, but at least that's like some kind of logical, like, explanation as to why she would decide to start sleeping with her best friend's ex. But Nate, he is just one I don't get him. There's so much to break down. First of all, what was with this whole gun thing? Why the heck was that necessary? I knew as soon as he pulled out a gun, I'm like, well, what is he doing? Because obviously he's a very violent and angry person. But then he also does things sometimes that, like, surprise me. So, like, I can't tell or decide who does he love and who does he freaking hate. You know, it's like he can just love one person for a second and just obsess over them, and then want to just hurt them and maybe even kill them in another second. Like, I just cannot with this man. He just puzzles me. And obviously, I mean, the more I watched it, I thought he was literally going to threaten her with the gun. And a spoiler alert. I mean, this whole thing's a spoiler alert. But, I mean, yeah, he didn't actually threaten her like he kind of did. But he more so was just going to, like, threaten to shoot himself in front of her. Like, you would have, of course, I'm assuming if you're watching this, you watched it. But, like, he did the whole, like, pulling out for the bullets and only leaving one, and, like, playing all these fucking mind games with her. I mean, it was just so hard to watch. My hands were just, like, sweating the entire time. It was, oh, I hated it. And I'm like, why did he do this? Why? He couldn't have at least, like, I don't know, tried just to ask for the CD first, like a normal human being, before you start resorting to any, like, violence. I don't just so weird for him not even attempt to get it back in a normal way instead of pulling a gun on her. Like, what the hell? And then he wasn't really threatening to shoot her. And that was another thing that makes it complex, because obviously it shows that Maddie, like, well, of course you don't want someone to kill themselves on top of you. I mean, that's terrifying. But also at the same time, like, it shows that, I mean, obviously she cares for him in some capacity, and he is literally just a narcissistic asshole that he's going to threaten to hurt himself in front of her, on top of her, just to get what he wants from her. And, like, emotionally, physically traumatize her. Okay. And then he just has this weird three-way thing, okay? And then Jules. So Jules obviously comes into the conversation with Nathan, or Nate, excuse me, with Nate, because, you know, he does all that to get the CD so he can give it to Jules and be like some crown hero, which we obviously know he has some sort of complex feelings for Jules, maybe even if it's just sexual, even though based off their earlier conversations it seemed like he does have like some, you know, like realistic actual human feelings for her. So I don't really know about that yet. I think with time that'll come, but he used it to blackmail her. Like, this character, oh my god, I just have WTF written on here. Like, here is one thing I wrote here that really struck me about Nate and this episode, beyond all the crazy shit he did. But then again, it's not uncommon for his character to resort to crazy, aggressive things. This was what was stuck out. When he was talking to his mom, and by the way, it was kind of nice to see, you know, the mom finally, like, have a little bit of a character in this episode. To me, she'd always kind of seemed like, just like, not just even secondary, she kind of seemed like this pushover trophy wife, you know? So I kind of liked that, like, she was given more of, like, a personality, you know, in this episode. It was really a good addition for her character, I think. But when he's talking to her, and she was being very blunt and honest, and he got aggressive with her too, which is just another problem with him. But second of all, could any of y'all ever talk to your mama that way? My mom would absolutely just slap me across the face. Anyways, I don't know, all of these characters in this show, like, I cannot relate. My mom would never let me do 3/4 of the things that they do on the daily. But anyways, so whenever she's talking, the part that caught me was when she was talking about, like, how he used to be this really happy kid, and how he, you know, would go get her water and stuff before bed, and you know, he was just a precious kid, and how all of a sudden, when he was, I think she said 8 or 9 years old, he just got dark. And it brought me back to the first few episodes of, like, the first season, when it talks about when he started finding his dad's tapes. And I was like, so I guess the idea is most likely, I mean, it didn't say this in this episode, but my idea based off of previous episodes is most likely if it was truly when he was between, like, 8 or 9 years old, when he started getting, like, aggressive and dark and just attributing these really bad behavioral problems. To me, I don't remember if in the previous episodes, if it's said how old he was when he started watching and seeing his dad's tapes, but I have a feeling that age sounds about right, based off of the actors, if I remember how he looked, the kid. So I have a good theory that maybe his sexuality and harvesting a lot of anger and resentment for having a father that obviously was unfaithful to his wife and his mother, as well as harvesting lots of complex sexual feelings of his own that he didn't know how to deal with, especially considering the hypermasculinity that his own father put on him, at the same time of his own father also dealing with the exact same things. It's like it was like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, he just passed on those same exact traits and things he struggled with, especially based off of the in the last episode we learned a lot more about you know, Nate's dad's past and how he first started, you know, discovering his sexuality. I find it extremely interesting. that Nate essentially has went through the exact same, almost the same thing, close. And he really just kind of tucked those things right along to his son. And I wonder if finding those tapes and experiencing kind of a traumatic event of seeing, and watching your father engage sexually with, with men and with trans people, which is something you do not think that he did. Watching that happen when you're really too young to even be consuming such, maybe what that does to your mental stability. I think that's an interesting conversation to be had. And obviously the mother had some inkling of him being knowledgeable of that, so I wonder if she's aware that he saw all of those CDs and DVDs of him doing that from a young age, and maybe what kind of repercussions that might have for her son in the long term, especially sexually, but also just internally in general. And maybe that's why he lashes out in anger so much, to try to deal with these complex feelings he doesn't know what to do with. Obviously, based off his character, he clearly has a misunderstanding about sexuality and what it means. Sorry, that was a really long rant, but I'm serious, y'all. Like, he is something else. Nate is so interesting. So, Cassie. Honestly, she made me laugh most of this episode. I found her whining to be quite repulsive. Like, to me, it's like, girl, you knew what you were doing. Like, yes, I understand, like, she felt bad about it. Genuinely, like, I believe that, but also, like, what did she expect to happen out of this? It's kind of like, what, did you think that, like, Maddie was just not gonna find out one day? And this was all gonna be just, like, sunflowers and roses? Like, no. And for her to be all whiny and then try to make the argument about, oh, it was 3 weeks and 3 days, 3 weeks and 3 days. It's like, okay, that's kind of defeating the whole point. By the way, her mom is like a queen. She's hilarious. And I love that, her mom keeps it real with her. And I appreciate that about her mom, even though her mom's a flawed character too in her own way. I think overall she has a loving mother, and yeah, Cassie's mom, shout out to her, she's great. Overall, Maddie just annoyed me this whole episode. Like, there really wasn't much to say. Like, to me, it's almost like you just need to own it. Like, you just need to own what you do. If you're gonna do it, like, something my mom used to always say is, like, if you're gonna do it with your chest. Like, you're gonna cheat, or not really cheat, that's not necessarily true, but if you're gonna sleep with your boyfriend's, if you're gonna sleep with your girlfriend's ex, like, just do it, and do it proudly, because otherwise, like, you just kind of look foolish. One question that I wrote that I think is a really interesting question to be had about this episode that left me wondering was, why does Nate feel this intense need for power over someone? And he really, what it seems like he did, and especially if you preview the next episode, it's basically showing Cassie, like, cosplaying as Maddie, which is, like, interesting. It kind of seems like Nate wants a girl, particularly a female, it seems like, to have power over, and he gets off on these major power trips, and he can only be in relationships in which he holds the complete power, and for some reason that gets to him, and he needs women that are going to appease that need out of him. And I have a good idea that even though a gun, oh my god, is completely unwarranted, but why he might have lashed out in complete anger could be because he knew that at that point he had lost Maddie. He liked having Maddie as this girl, he could always go to when he needed, sex, or he needed someone for his ego, or he needed someone to control, or someone who he can manipulate into doing whatever is needed for him to feel good about himself and his situation, or himself mentally as a man. He knew that after obviously sleeping with her best friend, that was over. So I think that he just dropped her like she was hot, and even got violent with her because, well, he knew that was over, and he was almost like grieving it in a way. And Cassie's desperate at this point. Cassie's called him like 38 times. So yeah, there she is, basically his next victim, just replaying the same story that Maddie and him, and Nate had over again. And I would love to get more into Nate's character and what makes him feel this need for power over women, and if that has something to do with his complex sexuality or the sexuality issues he may be going through. I don't know. Is there some connection? I'm just excited to see where the producers and writers take that, because he definitely is one of the most interesting characters, like, by far, even though he's one of the most basic. I don't know, that's weird. Okay, last but not least, first of all, I gotta fucking, last but not least, Rue's mom. When I tell you this woman is a saint, oh my god, she's a saint. She is a saint. Nobody deserves her. Rue doesn't deserve her. Gia doesn't deserve her. No one deserves her. Rue's mom is just a queen in every way. A queen. Like, I can't fathom, like, anyone, honestly, in my life sticking by me and being as loving and motherly to me as she has been to Rue and really everyone in this entire situation. And at the end, I wrote it down, at the end, whenever she is on the phone and she starts getting upset because seemingly the rehab can't take Rue, or at least the inpatient rehab can't take her, and she's like screaming and crying, and she's talking about how her daughter's gonna kill herself and she just knows. I just cried. I mean, that just tore my heart in half, because you could just hear like the love she has in her heart and her voice, and how she would just do anything for her children. Like, what a wonderful woman. And she's so just Rue's mom, I'm telling you, oh my god, a lot of the moms in these shows, but particularly Rue's mom, like, wow. And also, I think, just for that purely, but also other parts of the episode too, I think really represented, Rue's mom really, really well, and really showed her true heart. And I also love when they were at the table, she was talking about how her mom always believed in her and never gave up on her, and always was going to believe that she is going to come out stronger on the other side. And there's just something so pure and beautiful about that. And I love Rue's mom and her character. I just hope every day I just want her to have a good ending so bad. I wrote here that I really hope there's more focus on her maybe in the future, maybe giving her like a love interest. I know there was like maybe like a little bit of a peek of her with Jules' dad, which would be kind of an interesting, complex situation. But they were kind of having like a good time and laughing and stuff together whenever they were at the dance, or the prom or whatever. And so yeah, I hope she has a love interest, because like, oh my god, that woman deserves the world. She needs someone to love her. Like, she needs someone to treat her like the absolute queen she is. And that is my thoughts on Euphoria Season 2, Episode 7. Gonna end off with that note, because wow. Mom, like, seriously, amazing. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please be sure to subscribe down below and give me a like, and let me know if you like this, and I'll do the next episode. I'll go back to previous episodes, whatever. I don't know how well this will do or whatever, but just let me know.